Alrighty, then we are going to give it just a minute to get all of our attendees settled. Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here for this TMACOG Tech. We'd like to specifically thank our 2024 TMACOG Tech supporters, CT Consultants, DGL Consulting Engineers, the Mannequin Smith Group, and Ohio Concrete. We're really appreciative of your support. We're going to have a presentation start here just shortly, but please feel free throughout the presentation to submit your questions in the Q&A feature, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. To get started, we have a message from our Executive Director, Sandy Spang, and then we will jump right into the program.
Spang, Executive Director of TMACOG, and I'm so glad that you joined us for this TMACOG Tech. Some of us remember the bicentennial celebration of the United States. And you know, what's coming up is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Recently, I met Todd Kleismit. Todd is the Executive Director of America 250, Ohio Commission, and we're going to be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And the Ohio Commission is planning a way that every community in Ohio can join in that celebration. You know, Ohio has such a major role in the history of the United States, the 17th state to enter the Union, and really the gateway to Western expansion. And as I've learned when I've been out visiting your communities, each of your communities has a unique history and a story to tell. So I hope that each of you decides to apply for the Ohio Community Grant and celebrate in your own unique way. This is a really time-sensitive opportunity. It closes at the end of January, so I hope that as soon as you're done watching this webinar that you think about the way that you can uniquely celebrate in your community. You know, I hope that you take some video and share it with us, because I would love to have the opportunity to share this at a future TMACOG event, that we can compile these and maybe show how our communities celebrated 250 years of the United States of America. Thanks for joining us, and with no further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Todd.
Well, hi, good morning, everyone. And I think it is still morning. Yes, 11:33. Okay, so we're still in the morning. Thanks. Appreciate Sandy's introduction. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So bear with me for just a moment while I do that. It's in here somewhere. Thanks for your patience. Just not seeing the right screen as an option here. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm just going to do my best to click through this. Thanks, everyone. My name's Todd Kleismit. I serve as the Executive Director for the America 250 Ohio Commission. Great to be with you all. I appreciate what you're doing too, and the local governments that are participating in TMACOG. I can relate because a long time ago, I worked at the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission and appreciate what you all are doing and contributing to the Toledo metropolitan area. I attended BGSU back in the day. I'll bet there's some fellow Falcons amongst us. So appreciate you joining. Love Northwest Ohio, and we've got a lot of things going on. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. So hopefully you all know at least a little bit about our commission. We were formed in 2022. And as Sandy identified in the video, we are heading up Ohio's participation in the nation's 250th anniversary in 2026. And like some of you, you probably remember the nation's bicentennial in 1976. I was, of course, we were all a lot younger then, but that helped shape some of my earliest thoughts, and just sort of being immersed in and around the nation's bicentennial back then really did shape my interest in history, current events, presidents, all things United States history. So it really made an impact on me. And so we're hopeful that if we do a good job these next couple of years, this will be impactful to young people as well as adults. So we do have a charge in the Ohio Revised Code. If you wanted to nerd out and check that out, feel free. We're in section 149.309 of the Ohio Revised Code, where you could find out more about our commission. We have 29 voting members on the commission statewide. Adam Levine from the Toledo Art Museum is on the commission, amongst many others, the mayor of Lima, and you can find out more on that. We are co-chaired by Toledo native Michael Coleman, who served 4 terms as the mayor of Columbus, and a guy named Doug Price. They are the 2 co-chairs for our statewide commission. And so Ohio has some touch points to the American Revolutionary War era, and so we'll definitely lean into those things. But we also have a bigger opportunity here to really showcase what Ohio and Ohioans have contributed to the nation these past 250 plus years. And the plus is important because there were American Indian tribes that were here in modern day Ohio for thousands of years prior to Europeans. So they're a big part of that story. And so we like to make sure that we are showcasing that. We're trying to be as inclusive as we possibly can, leading up to the nation's 250th in 2026. So I'll be quick with some of these slides like this one. So we're going to come at this comprehensively. There are going to be some celebrations and signature events. We're going to spotlight, as I said, what Ohio and Ohioans have contributed, what we might call Ohio originals. We're also going to be working to engage youth and lifelong learners. We're going to be working closely with arts organizations, history groups, museums all around the state, various organizations. So we really see this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity here to help bring some people together and also tell some undertold stories, we like to call them. Lots of nuggets about Ohio that a lot of people don't know about. So we think this is a great opportunity to help bring some attention to those stories as well. So you may have heard about our America 250 Ohio Communities. You can see the URL link down at the bottom of this slide. So what we're trying to do here is get lots of different people, organizations, local governments engaged in America 250. Every state should be doing something like what we're doing. There is a national commission. I would say most things will be happening state by state by state. And I can guarantee you Ohio is really leaning into this opportunity. And so we don't want to be making all the decisions here from Columbus. We want to make sure that local communities all over Ohio are engaged. It's really important for us to have all 88 counties involved, engaged in ways that make sense for your local community. So we are asking for local governments, whether they're at the county level or the city, village, township, to pass a simple resolution to kind of raise your hand and say, we're going to participate in America 250 as well. We will pass this resolution and form a local committee to participate, again, in ways that make sense for your local community. And so we're going to have to update this slide because we're now a little more than 100 communities have so far signed up, a little more than half of the counties and quite a few cities, villages, and townships. You can find that all online. But the starting point is our website, and you can find out more. We'll send a sample resolution. You can, of course, make edits to it. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is why you want to do that very soon. As Sandy was alluding to, we have what is now our third round of grants, and it's going to be a little bit different. If you're familiar with last year, we had 2 grant rounds, and this is going to be a little bit different. So a year ago, we didn't yet have programs in place. We wanted to do some early activation. So last year, we had nonprofits as well as local governments and educational institutions were eligible to send us grant proposals to do some work that was America 250 related in some way. And so what we're doing now with this third round of grants is we are encouraging those communities that do become designated by the end of this calendar year to, as I said, form a local committee. And it is the work of those local committees that we want to get grant applications from. So hopefully your local community may have already signed up and passed the resolution. Again, you can see you can find out if your community has passed the resolution yet by checking our website. This page here will tell you more about the grants. You can see the grants page down at the bottom here. But the idea, again, is to incentivize and encourage local engagement. We think that that's where most of the action for America 250 will take place at the local level. So these will be $5,000 grants. We probably won't be able to fund everything that comes through the door, but we want to, fund a range of different things. We're not looking for all the same kind of grant application. We hope that we'll see a creative, diverse amount of projects that come our way. So with $5,000, our hope is that we won't be funding like $3,900 for you and $4,500 for you. We're hoping that these will be grants of $5,000 to maximize the work that you're doing locally. So that's our intent. So we do have a quick deadline of January 31st. And that's a typo on there. It says January 31st, 2024. That should say 2025. I apologize. But that's what we're trying to do here. So we want the projects. We've got a pretty wide scope, we think. If you send us projects that relate to storytelling and or education, we are using the phrase next generation citizens, next gen citizens, to talk as more of an umbrella term for our education related work, whether that is K-12 or college level. So education and next gen citizens are essentially the same thing from our vantage point. So wanted you to know about this. So these would be projects that would activate anytime as early as April 1st of this coming year through the end of August of 2026. We partner with Ohio Humanities. They have a lot of expertise in this area. We had a great partnership with them the first couple of grant rounds. And so we're utilizing the skill set of Ohio Humanities once again on these grants that are due to us by January 31st of 2025. All right, moving ahead. I want to tell you about some of our programs and projects that are underway. Some people think about what we're doing as very focused on July 4 of 2026. That will be the 250th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. if there is a center point to all of this, it is certainly that day. But the way we're coming at this is we've got sort of what I sometimes call a roadmap or a sort of a journey toward 2026, and trying to not set this picture of it's all about one day and having one big fireworks party on July 4, 2026. Certainly fireworks will be involved. That's an important date for us. But the way Ohio is really coming at this is we want to utilize the full calendar year of 2026 for programs and projects and really bring people together. So we're going to come at this very comprehensively. Some things you'll see relate pretty directly to the era of the Revolutionary War. Many things will not. They will showcase what Ohio has contributed to the country. So the fourth grade history pass is something we launched earlier this year. And this is pretty straightforward. The museums around the state that we've encouraged them to offer free admission to a fourth grade student to come with their family. We're not really thinking of this as a way to get a whole fourth grade class to come out, but to give a family an extra incentive to engage in history. At fourth grade is where they're typically learning about history and Ohio history. So this is a little bit borrowed from the National Park Service and what they did for their centennial in 2016. I was paying extra attention to that because I had a fourth grader at that time. And so anyway, museums, and they don't have to be history museums, art museums and others are eligible. All they have to do is opt into the program. And so I think we've got about 40 or so locations that are participating in this and offering free admission to a fourth grader with a paid admission from a parent or guardian. Okay, we are also doing a lot in the travel and tourism space. And so we wanted to tell you about something called Trails and Tales. And you can see how Tales is spelled. This is about storytelling. We have so many great assets all over the state of Ohio. We are trying to package them up in sort of different creative ways. There are tourism trails that exist in the state, of course. You likely have some in the Toledo area. What we're trying to do here is something statewide that really showcases Ohio strengths. And so in this, I think it was in May, we launched the Air and Space, the first of what will be 6 different driving tours. These are not hiking tours, these are driving tours to really showcase these different places around Ohio. You're all Ohioans, so the Air and Space is a huge strength for Ohio. We're now working on our second one, creativity. So these are going to be, a lot of places around the state. And so this is being packaged in a little different way. So you'll certainly see some art museums like the Toledo Museum of Art showcased in the creativity one that we're hoping to launch. We're aiming for a time in mid-January. So stay tuned on that. We're getting very close. So I'll just reference a few more down the road here. Lake Erie, Ohio River and Canals, Change Makers and Leaders, one focused on transportation and one for inventors and innovation. So sort of probably launching a couple of these each year, working with convention and visitors bureaus and tourism professionals around the state. Some of them who serve on our commission are helping us out a great deal. So we're adding an audio tour component to this. And the idea isn't really to get in your car in Toledo and go drive the entirety of the state, but to really make sure that Ohioans and anyone traveling to Ohio knows and has the opportunity to sort of connect some dots and maybe go do some exploring that they might not otherwise do. So that's Ohio Trails and Tales is the umbrella term for that. Look for the creativity launch, hopefully next month. So we have, this is an idea that is carried over from the Ohio Bicentennial Commission, which culminated in 2003. I'll bet a lot of you recall that. This was an idea that never, they just ran out of time, ran out of resources. So we wanted to pick up on this idea about showcasing what Ohio's contributed to the history of film and documentaries. So this is going to be one of the bigger things that we do. And of course, it has little to do with the American Revolutionary War era, but that's okay. We've got so many assets all over the state of Ohio, whether that was Ohio actors, whether it was someone maybe behind the scene, films that have or I should say movies that have been at least partially filmed in Ohio, or perhaps Ohio was the setting. So this is going to be a really great thing, and we're calling it Ohio Goes to the Movies. We've got a really strong team working on this. So in 2026, the idea is to have at least one film screened in all 88 counties, and hopefully much more than that, but over about a 250-day period in 2026 to have it be really a statewide film festival. So Governor DeWine is particularly interested in this and engaged. He and Beverly D'Angelo, who some of you may recall from uh, the um, the films with Chevy Chase. Why isn't it coming to me? But National Lampoon's movies. She's been in a bunch of movies, but she's an Ohioan, and so she filmed a trailer recently for us, along with Governor DeWine. So maybe when we finish the presentation, maybe I can show that for you. Otherwise, I can tell you where to find it online. But if you go to any films this winter, I'm hoping you'll see that trailer on the screen. So lots of different opportunities here for theaters, and hopefully a lot of historic theaters will have an opportunity to participate in this. We'll be offering stipends and asking that they not simply show a film, but to have sort of a program to go with it and showcase, the local tie or ties to those communities. So look for that in Ohio Goes to the Movies. All right, I want to tell you about homecoming and picnics. Something I'll be talking about here shortly is that we have a big theme for each month of calendar year 2026. And so in July, we'll be showcasing homecomings and picnics. So I mentioned it's really important for us to have all 88 counties participating, hopefully in various different ways. But really, the summer of 2026, we're hoping this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to really bring a lot of people together. We want to incentivize things like picnics and homecomings and reunions. And so I hope you'll think about ways that your local community or maybe organizations that you're participating in can play a role. Maybe you could host a reunion, for example. So we anticipate having homecoming kits that will be made available for maybe larger gatherings. Toledo will be a big part of this because our presenting sponsor is Synovus. I'll bet a lot of you are familiar with Synovus, who have a presence in Toledo as well as Lima, Dublin, and we anticipate in 2026 that there will be homecoming and picnic events taking place at various Ohio History Connection sites and other places. So that is what we're calling Ohio Homecoming and Picnics. All right, I will just touch on a few other things that are queuing up for these next couple of years here. Sort of borrowing on the idea of Liberty trees, we're hoping to have a tree planting in each county of the state. And we think we'll hopefully get about half of them planted in the spring of 2025, and perhaps the other half of the counties by the spring of 2026. Probably at a minimum, one oak tree being planted. It could be on the county courthouse green or at a local park. So we're working with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and some of the arboretums around Ohio to work on that. So that is something that's still in formation. So we'll have more details hopefully this spring on that. And actually, Ohio, I think I'm told Ohio has the most Tree City USA communities, and I'll bet some of you are on this call with us. So thanks for what you're doing. I mentioned before Undertold Stories. We have an Undertold Stories committee set up to help try to uncover some of those nuggets. One of the things that this group took on for us is back in September, we helped sponsor and host a first of its kind, a statewide gathering of the Underground Railroad sites around Ohio. Ohio actually has the most certified Underground Railroad sites of any state. I think we have just over 100 of them in Ohio, but they don't often know about each other or talk to each other. And so, as I say, back in September, there was a gathering at the Ohio History Center in Columbus, and that may become an annual event. So we're going to be trying to capture different stories, not just Underground Railroad, but just wanted to mention that as part of the Undertold Stories portfolio, if you will. So Revolutionary War, of course, is central to what our commission is trying to help showcase. You may be surprised to know that there are about 7,400 different Revolutionary War veterans that are buried somewhere in the state of Ohio. And I would never have guessed that until I was in this role, but we have a lot of information about those veterans. Oftentimes we don't know where they're buried. And so we have a team of people that are working on this, a lot of support coming to us from the Daughters of the American Revolution and the Sons of the American Revolution. We're trying to help fill in some of the gaps in the research. Maybe a lot of information is available, but some more information needs to be found. And so what we're trying to do is by 2026, have all of this information captured and turned into a digital map. So anyone interested in future generations of knowing more about these stories, we hope by 2026 we might be having some cemetery events where we're showcasing some of these stories about the Revolutionary War veterans who, wouldn't have started in Ohio, but for various reasons they ended up in Ohio. So more on that starting next year. A couple of other things here. I'll be talking about how April is a big emphasis for transportation. We are working with some partners to have a couple of train excursions, I'll call them. So we're calling it the 250 Buckeye Train. So we've got some partners. The Denison Railroad Depot, which is Eastern Ohio, is really taking the lead on this project. So we're anticipating in 2026 having a weekend of transportation festival and a rail excursion as part of that. So again, something that's a little bit early on, but that's something that's in formation right now. I mentioned Next Gen Citizens is our education related work. We're hoping to really showcase for students, the significance of the Northwest Ordinance, Ohio's contributions to case law and sort of the judicial decisions that have been made that were either based in Ohio or Ohio was a central component of it. We're going to do some service learning projects with a small state agency called Serve Ohio, and also utilize iCivics, which is an online platform for civic education. So stay tuned for more on that from the Next Gen Citizens group. And, there's so many different murals around the state of Ohio. We're partnering with the Ohio Arts Council to really showcase these murals that most of which already exist around the state. But we also think this is a good time to create some new murals for the nation's semi-quincentennial. So we're following the lead of Ohio Arts Council on that. Stay tuned for more. If anyone is into history of boats and the Ohio River, there's this really cool event that's going to happen in October of 2025 on the banks of the Ohio River. They're calling it America's River Roots Experience. And so there's a team of people. It's mostly going to be around Cincinnati. Hopefully some of the other Ohio River communities will participate. But this is a great way to showcase some of the Ohio River history and the boats the economic impact of all of that history will be showcased with a boat-themed experience that will happen October, and I think it's actually October 8th through 12. I think they just recently updated that. But there is an America's River Routes website that if you want to find out more about that, you certainly could. We're working with COSI here in Central Ohio about some kits that they're doing to showcase the importance of science and tying that to the nation's 250th. And then we're also going to be launching a webinar series. I think is going to start in the February timeframe, where we utilize the expertise of historians and some subject matter experts to have some conversations about what was happening in and around the Ohio country about 250 years ago. So that is also queuing up nicely for us. So some of the tools we'll be utilizing, Memory Fox to help capture videos that can be done locally. Travel Stories GPS is what we're using for the Trails and Tales initiative. So to mention those items. And a while back, I mentioned the Ohio Bicentennial Commission, which culminated in 2003. I'll bet a lot of you will recall, you've probably surely seen the Ohio Bicentennial barns that have been painted by a guy named Scott Hagan, who calls himself the barn artist. And so borrowing on that idea, Scott Hagan, the barn artist, is really well known. He has made a whole career out of this. So we've been utilizing his skills as well. We're not going to be able to do anything like they did for the Ohio Bicentennial, where it was one barn in each county. But I think what we're going to probably be able to achieve is one in each region of the state. And so you can see near you in just outside of Fremont, we had a barn painted themed to American agriculture. So that was dedicated, I believe, in July. So that was a fun event. And the one on the bottom here is themed to US Route 250. So a little bit farther east of you, US Route 250 connects Lake Erie at Sandusky. It makes its way southeasterly from there through 9 Ohio counties before it spills out from Belmont County into Wheeling, West Virginia. So it was just fun to think about US Route 250 and theming some of the work to America 250. And so we're getting a lot of the communities along that route there to think of themselves a little differently and theme up some of the things that they can do. There are a number of touch points to the American Revolutionary War era and just some really cool things along US Route 250. I'll just touch on a couple of quick things. So Thomas Edison was born right off of US Route 250, or what later became US Route 250. He was actually born before it existed. But we got Thomas Edison. We've got places like Norwalk, where the Firelands story is highly relevant from the American Revolution. And college towns like Ashland and Worcester, New Philadelphia, a little farther down, planted to look like Philadelphia. The Lincoln Highway intersects with it at a certain point. It's very scenic, especially in the fall with the fall foliage. So lots to like about US Route 250 during these next couple of years. So we're having a good time with the communities along that route. Finally, in the upper right corner there, you'll see the barn artist does more than just barns. So we were asked to partner with American Nitrile, which is in Grove City, Ohio, near Columbus here. And they have a unique story about the reshoring of manufacturing. And in the case of American Nitrile, it is those blue latex gloves that first responders and the medical community use a lot. And so they wanted to do something to have a salute to military veterans. And so this was just painted in September. Again, that was the barn artist. So, whoops, let's see here. I'll skip over some of this. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on the future projects and initiatives. So I mentioned that we would be having a big theme each month of the calendar year. And so in January, we want to make a big deal out of Ohio Originals. One thing, for example, the Northwest Ordinance was a great opportunity to showcase Ohio was the first state to come out of the Northwest territory from the Northwest Ordinance. There's lots of ways that we could talk about Ohio firsts, and so we're planning to have that as a big emphasis in January. In February, inventions, innovation, business, and work. So especially those inventions, there's a lot of them that took place or are highly relevant to Ohio. So we'll be showcasing those in February. In March, we'll have a big emphasis on music, entertainment, and movies. And you probably, if you think about the Ohio Goes to the Movies effort, that will launch in February, but we'll be making we'll be having a big emphasis for that in March, as well as other ways, music and so forth. When we get to April, big emphasis on transportation. I talked a little bit about the Buckeye train. When we get to May, it'll be arts, culture, and literature. June, what we might call getting outdoors. We'll have a big emphasis on all things natural resources, parks. By the way, I love that new Glass City Metro Park in Toledo. Well done, Toledo. July, the statewide picnic and homecoming. I think we talked about that a little bit. So again, whatever we can do to help incentivize and encourage things like picnics and reunions, we think this is a great time to bring some people together. When we get to August, big emphasis on our fairs, both the Ohio State Fair and our county fairs. So on the grounds of the Ohio State Fair, there is a small monument that says that in 1976, the nation's bicentennial, they buried a time capsule, and it says it's to be opened during the Ohio State Fair during the year 2026. So we'll be showing up with some shovels in 2026 and maybe create a new time capsule. So stay tuned for more on that. But we're also going to be figuring out what we might do to help encourage a certain kind of butter sculpture that summer. So more on that coming soon. September, it seems like just about every sport is played in September. We know that we've got a lot of teams here, both professional and minor leagues. You got the Toledo Mud Hens, you got the Columbus Clippers and the Blue Jackets and the Guardians and the Reds, and the list goes on. So lots of opportunities here to showcase sports and recreation, and we're going to be partnering with the Pro Football Hall of Fame to make the most out of September 2026. In October, agriculture and food. The barn that I showed you out just outside of Fremont is the first of what we think will be many different things we can spotlight regarding food and agriculture during the month of October in 26. November, veterans and first responders, not just American Revolutionary War veterans, but let's help salute all that Ohio has contributed to our nation from the perspective of veterans and first responders. And then we're working with a futurist to work with us all through calendar year 2026, so that at the end of the calendar year, we can really have some things that might sustain themselves beyond 2026 and be a look forward. So we are, as I say, going to be doing things all throughout that calendar year, and looking forward to showcasing that at the end of the year. Now, our commission goes away in 2027. So we expire by the end of June of 2027. But if we're good at what we do these next couple of years, a lot of really cool things will sustain themselves well beyond that time frame. So these are just a few things that you can think through, ways to participate locally. There's probably countless things that you could think about doing. If you're not already following us on social media, we hope that you will. You can find out a lot on our website, america250-ohio.org. And with that, I sure thank you for this opportunity. Rosanna and Sandy and the team at TMACOG, I appreciate your interest and giving me the opportunity to share some things with you. So I think
Thank you,
with that,
Todd.
should I
Yeah,
stop sharing?
you can stop sharing. Yep.
Right. Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we will wait a couple minutes to see if anybody has any questions, but I have a question to get you started, Todd.
Sure.
As someone who has a third grader right now in this school year, when does the fourth grade pass take, like when does it start? Would it be in 2026?
It has already started, and
Oh,
it's
great.
going to be on a continuous. So what we've done is we start with a new fourth grade class, every, August.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it might be September 1st, the next round of fourth graders become eligible. But that's something that, can be utilized, this weekend,
Yeah.
if desired, or as late as, I think even into 2027, those museums are going to participate through that because, even though the 2026 school year begins, of course, on or about late August, and it'll go
Mm-hmm.
through the end of that school year.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really wonderful. We have many
Yeah.
schools that are member units here at TMACOG. We'll make sure that if they don't already know, that we can pass that along to our member units. I think I am a little biased. I have a history undergraduate degree, and I love the state of Ohio. So I think a lot of these things are really
Yay.
wonderful, specifically, obviously, for our member units and as well as our partners, chambers of commerce. There's so many things that could bring people into your communities and really bolster economic development, but also community development. So there's something for everybody here in America 250 is what I was gathering from your presentation. So I think that that's
Sure.
really, really wonderful. For our friends in Michigan, we did share the link. There's activities happening up there. So please feel free to utilize that link that we put into the chat feature if there are any of our friends from Michigan joining us today. This presentation will be posted on our website. So I'm just kind of doing some of the housekeeping now. And as Todd said, there's the website to go to if there's any questions on what Todd presented on. And feel free to reach out to us and we can make those connections if there's anything specific. But I don't see any questions coming through, which is okay because sometimes you have to let it digest a little bit to see if there's any questions. But if there are any questions for anybody after the fact, please feel free to reach out and we'll make sure that your answers get to you. Again, the chat feature has the link for Michigan. But I just want to say thank you again to everyone that attended here live and then whoever watches us when we post this on our website. And again, thank you to our supporters for this event, our TMACOG tech supporters, CT Consultants, DGL Consulting Engineers, the Manic Smith Group, and Ohio Concrete. We couldn't do this without your support. So we're really appreciative of that. Todd, thank you so much. This was super informative and I learned a
Thank
lot.
you.
And I think, my kids and I are going to have some fun driving around, get my husband in the car and we'll go visit some of these things that you have planned here throughout the state. So thanks for everything that you're doing. And thank you for being here today.
Wonderful. My pleasure. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for the invitation.
All right. Have a great one, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.